My friends are my power.
This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant.
It's like one of my Japanese animes. They'll pay for this.
Red, white, and otaku.
That's why I'll never forgive the Japanese!
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to yet another installment of Red, White, and Otaku. I'm Sheltered Snipe.
Before we begin, I just want to say, YouTube likes to restrict videos of cursing in the first 10 or so minutes, so despite everything, we're going to try very hard not to curse for at least that long. I'm Tangent Man.
Getting that warning out of the way, because there's going to be a lot this episode, I'm sorry. Anyways, this is Red, White, and Otaku. It's a podcast that's all about American media that explores Japanese tropes and properties, and vice versa. Examples include how Resident Evil is a Japanese game that takes place in America, or how Big Hero 6 contains a fusion of American and Japanese iconography.
What are we talking about this week?
This week, we had so much fun. I can't wait for you folks at home to listen to it. In fact, we're making you. This week, we explored the live-action adaptation of Netflix's Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah! Anyway, let's talk about Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, released on the GameCube back in the 2000s, or
Sounds
like
good.
anything else. We got into that last week, or whenever the episode came out, when we were talking about the remaster coming out in November, and I said some stuff that was inaccurate, so let me just correct myself here. I believe I stated that Mechagodzilla Soya era was in the Japanese port of the game. This was wrong. In the Japanese port of the game, they had the Millennium era version of Mechagodzilla in place of the Heisei era version we had here in the States. And then the Xbox version had both Heisei Mechagodzilla and Millennium Mechagodzilla. The Soya era version, which will be in the remaster, was not in any iteration of Destroy All Monsters Melee, and will be replacing the Heisei version era of the character because Toho feels that the version of Mechagodzilla depicted in that game is more true to his Soya character. Also, I was correct, Orga was unlockable in the United States GameCube version. We just sucked at video games. And Godzilla 90s is not the same character as Godzilla 2000s. They do not play identically. Godzilla 90s had a stronger beam attack, while Godzilla 2000s was faster. And in the sequel, Save the Earth, the two were further differentiated, as were other similar monsters, like King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah.
It's like,
Anyway, hopefully that responds to all the emails we got saying how I know nothing about Destroy All Monsters Melee, but our bases are covered now.
all right. So, before we begin with our discussion of today's extremely fun and exciting topic, a little spoiler warning. I believe this first half will try our hardest not to spoil anything. This includes both the Netflix show and the anime version as well, or the original. But later on, there may be spoilers about the show and about the anime version, maybe. I'll try my hardest not to spoil the anime because it's, good.
Yeah, expanding on that, this first section of the podcast, which will probably be the bulk of the podcast, is our non-spoiler section. So we will only be describing up to around episode 4 in any level of detail, and even then it's not going to be a synopsis or play-by-play. This is a pretty episodic show, so it's more about the individual episodes' plots than the overarching one. So we won't be giving away how specific stories resolve or any of the big reveals, again, past about episode 4. But we will be talking about characters who appear throughout, probably in any given episode. So if you're wanting to go into the Netflix original remake of Cowboy Bebop completely blind, we cannot promise that. But we won't be spoiling or discussing in any excessive level of depth the original anime. And we'll probably try not to even in the spoiler section on account of the fact that I still haven't seen it. But yeah, if that kind of covers your comfort level with the podcast, hopefully you'll stay with us throughout.
Alrighty. And since we're not going to spoil the anime, I'm only going to talk about it briefly, just the production history, if that's all right.
Sure, and I mean you can talk about some of it. Hey, how about just to start with, let's talk about what our history is with Cowboy Bebop originally before this. Speaking for myself, I have very little history. I have seen the first 3 episodes on 2 separate occasions where I've attempted to get through the show. I didn't stop because I didn't like it or anything, just because I have a lot of things I'm interested in and I fall off of stuff a lot. But I've definitely seen the first 3 episodes, and I think some random scenes on Toonami growing up. But beyond this live action remake was my first real experience with Cowboy Bebop.
I am so sorry. That's so sad. Because with me, I kind of grew up a bit with this show. As a kid who was way too young to have even been watching anime in the first place, at least anime on Adult Swim, uh, I watched Cowboy Bebop late at night on Toonami every Saturday. I was mystified by how otherworldly and adult it felt. Even now, it's still sort of hard to describe just what it is that really grabbed my attention about the show. I think the big thing was the theme music itself. Um, for those who haven't heard the theme song to Cowboy Bebop, search up Tank Cowboy Bebop. It is a real bop, as the kids say. Um, I I gotta say I'm a huge fan of the show. I mean, I don't have Funko Pops everywhere or anything like that, but um, it's when I think of the term anime, it's the first show that comes to mind. Because I didn't really watch a lot of anime, but this was one of them. The other one was like Full Metal Alchemist, Bobobo, the occasional Naruto, okay, there's actually a lot of animes I watched growing up now I think about it. But yeah, basically the first ever really adult show that I watched that wasn't just cursing and rampant blood explosions like Robot Chicken or Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It felt different, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, uh, probably. Like I said, I've seen very little of the show, so I would need more experience to either agree or disagree with you. If you were talking about the show we did watch this week, I'd probably disagree with you. But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What background do we have on why why is this?
Why is this? That is a good question. Well, according to the history of the Netflix adaptation, it was first announced around June of 2017. So we're kind of it's been how many years? 9 since it was first announced. Then
Sounds
about
about right.
5 since it was first released. It was developed by Tomorrow Studios and Midnight Radio and released onto Netflix. I know nothing about Tomorrow Studios or Midnight Radio. I hope they shut down after this, honestly, but we don't always get what we want. It was
Uh,
developed by a man named Christopher Yost, who claims he discovered the show in 2011 thanks to his brother. Good for him.
I want to talk about this, man.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you a few things. Filmography
Go
includes
for it.
several Marvel projects such as Hulk versus Thor: The Dark World and Thor Ragnarok. He's written for
Hmm.
those. He's also written for Star Wars and Marvel shows, but only a few episodes, it seems. Although he was, I believe, one of the executive producers on The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what it says.
Also written many Marvel comics. And I don't know if you heard about this, but he's set to write the television adaptation of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, I did. His name on the credits jumped out for me. Like I immediately was like, I know this man, and sure enough, yeah, I do. Like looking through his filmography, I've seen upwards of half of these. And yeah, I am currently reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, And man, I consider that adaptation dead to me already. It's not even out yet. Well, because of this, and because I guess it's going to be streaming on Peacock, and I won't subject myself to the indignity of signing up for that streaming service. But man, Christopher Yost, dude, apparently he wrote for everything. There's Star Wars Maul, Mandalorian, Rebels, Avenger. There's some good shows in here too. I love the Armored Adventures. This one stings, man.
Yeah. He's written a lot of mainstream, more American-centered things.
Well, I don't know if I'd call whatever this is to be not American centered. I mean, in a way, this is kind of keeping up with his track record, you know? I mean, I can't say that all of the things he's written are like bad. I would need to search out these individual episodes to say that, and the individual comics. I looked at his list. I don't know if I've read any of these. But you know, he clearly has a track record of hopping on to established IPs and kind of contributing to them, which is a big part of modern comics. So no hate there. And this is kind of another example of that. You know, like Cowboy Bebop might not be the X-Men, but it's definitely a recognizable brand.
Yeah. Now another interesting thing was the showrunner for this. His name was Andre Nemec. He worked on the live-action Michael Bay Ninja Turtle films.
Hmm.
Yeah. He was also a writer and producer on countless shows. And his most recent work will be the upcoming Scooby-Doo Origins.
Yeah, that's the one that has a real dog in it.
Yeah, and people got angry because they just now discovered what a Great Dane dog looks like. And it looks like that dog that they chose. I don't know what they were expecting.
Scooby Doo has had a rough run recently. Like, and by recently I mean pretty much everything since Mystery Incorporated seems to have been a misfire that I'm aware of.
Well, yeah, they're adding them the Dead by Daylight too.
I
So
mean,
that's
you got
pretty bad.
you got Velma on HBO Max. That CGI Scoob movie everyone remembers. The weird animated series with like the Family Guy character design.
Is it weird to say I would rather talk about that than what we're about to talk about?
Well, we'll save that for the Scoop cast. That's what happens after we deal with every Japan America co-production. That's the next one in like 3 to 4 months.
You can say 3 to 4 years. It's okay. Anyways, another interesting thing about this show before we get into the meat and potatoes is the composer for it was Yoko Kanno, who, for folks who don't know, she was the composer for the original Cowboy Bebop show, the anime. Her and her band, the Seatbelts, which was a band that was specifically created for that show, designed, and created a lot of music. I would dare say it's probably the best part of the live action version.
Yeah, I mean it's up there. I definitely don't have any complaints about the music. Off the top of my head. It's also usually not something that sticks out to me a lot, though, just in general. Like, a great soundtrack can definitely uplift a movie or so, but it's rare that it can, like, redeem it.
Right. In this case, it did not redeem it, but at the very least, I have a new playlist to listen to on YouTube whenever I'm bored.
So when do you drop the act and admit that this is your favorite TV show of all time?
Let's see. After I get another biopsy done.
I think you mean the lobotomy.
Bit of both. I guess the only other thing I can say about this is the fact that Shinichiro Watanabe, the director of the anime, is not a fan of the show, surprisingly.
No way! Really?
Yeah. He said it was clearly not Cowboy Bebop, and I realized at that point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop.
I want to know when he came to that realization. I would totally understand if it was when the initial talks were happening, but if it was while he was watching the show, I would like to place bets on which episode. The problem is I would lose because there are a few options.
I think I read on the Wikipedia article that it was he saw a scene with a casino in it and then he immediately noped out.
In episode 1?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, well I have thoughts about that moment too, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
The only other things I can say about this is that the show was canceled less than 3 weeks after season 1's release. There were plans for season 2, but that's not going to happen, and probably for a good reason.
Maybe we can use our platform for good and do some crowdfunding to buy the rights for a season 2. Maybe we can work with these people and just, make their dreams a reality, make their vision come to life, Like,
That's like taking a Make-A-Wish kid to Arkham Asylum. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'll get into what I think about hypothetical season 2, but does it deserve to exist? The market says no, and I understand why the market would say that. But I would, every time I see a show that is just such a resounding disappointment in this way, especially something that's like a collaboration between so many people, you have to wonder, like, was there someone who really believed in this? Like, did someone come into this like as an artist, just with a dream, and really think this was going to be something, or is it money men all the way down? Like, I'm really curious.
Yeah, the thing about the show is, well, we haven't even begun to describe it yet, but
Sure.
I think there is a lot of passion put into it. I don't believe anyone ever sets out to make a bad show, but it just sort of happens because things are left unchecked or the money men start getting too much say in things. It seems like. I mean, this show had a
Yeah.
ton of producers on it, a ton of people who invested into the show. Each episode is estimated to cost around $7 to $10 million.
I
So,
believe that.
in retrospect, that's a crazy amount. Each episode is about one Backrooms movie, if that puts things into perspective.
Do you think if we turn our podcast into somehow being an American remake of Fooly Cooley, we can get a studio to give us like $7 to $10 million per episode?
We're making our own, what was that movie called? The Producers?
Yeah, Springtime for.
Yeah,
I can't remember any of the characters in Fooly Cooley, but
Yeah. I was going to say the springtime part, but then it's like, I don't think I can say that right now.
you can. I think. I don't know. We'll figure out how the algorithm thing works. We'll keep going for now. Anyway, should we give like an overall idea of what this show is or what happens in it? You want me to throw something out there?
Yeah, sure. If you would like to start the spoiler-free summary, because it's totally not because talking about this causes me pain or anything.
I'd be happy to. All right, just a reminder, viewer, I've seen very little of the anime, so I am describing what the Netflix show is about, not what the anime is about, or how well the show translates what the anime is about. Anyway, in the show, we are following the crew of the spaceship Cowboy Bebop, a pair of cowboys known as Spike Spiegel and Jet Black. And they are two men who, in different ways, are on the run from their pasts. Spike as a former mafioso, member of the Dangerous Syndicate, and Jet as a now disgraced police officer. Also in their orbit is a third bounty hunter by the name of Faye in search of her own past. Every episode, 2 or 3 of them go on a case and track down a bounty, and bad things happen to them wherever they go. At the same time, we are also following Spike's rival character, Vissus, who is managing his syndicate affairs somewhere and also dealing with his wife, Spike's former lover. Yeah, and it's hard for me to really describe that more without getting into my critiques. But yeah, overall, it's a found family crime narrative story. In some ways, not unlike Edge Runners, but more episodic. Yeah, and that's as good of a synopsis as I'm likely to get without starting to give my thoughts. So maybe we should jump into general opinions.
Oh, you want general opinions? Well,
Hit
first
me.
of all, you forgot the most important character.
I'm
Yes, Ein. That adorable little Welsh corgi. That didn't do anything.
how many? Yeah, how many minutes of the show do you think he's in cumulatively?
Not enough.
Yeah, a lot of my thoughts on Ein fall under spoilers, but yeah, I maybe if we were talking about the anime, I would have included him in the summary, but in the live action show, I will not.
Yeah. Here's what I can say about my opinions on the show without spoiling anything. From a production standpoint, looks pretty good, I think. The sets look nice. There's clearly a lot of money put into the show, as I just mentioned a little while ago. The CGI models look pretty good. I mean, they kind of look a little bit off sometimes, but I mean, again, TV show budget. But the actual physical sets themselves, great looking. They look like real places. Then I'm gonna say the costumes I thought also looked good. Nothing really looked like cheap cosplay or anything like that. Some characters like Faye had huge costume changes, and I read up on it. Apparently, they just couldn't pull off her original outfit. Like the little red jacket kept falling off, so it's like, you know what? You have to make some concessions when it comes to translating art into a new medium. And I think the only thing visually that I was not a fan of was probably the color grading. It Netflix shows always look washed out to me for some reason. You ever notice that?
Sometimes, by Netflix standards, this one looked pretty vibrant, but I kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Again, that could just be nitpicking. I mean, I don't need nitpick. There's plenty to complain about, but
I mean, I don't know if I'd describe like Daredevil or Stranger Things looking washed out. At least not like season one Stranger Things, but maybe it depends on what you're comparing it to. I don't watch a ton of TV except for like streaming service shows and anime, so
I think it could also just be because I'm not a fan of digital cameras in general. I kind of like film grain.
you're such a fucking geek. It's past 10 minutes, I can say fucking now.
Oh, fuck. It's okay. Well, you say it less than they do on the show.
True.
But what did you think about, let's say, the production design, the sets and costumes and stuff? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, actually, this is usually more your area than mine, but maybe by virtue of my brain, just what we're looking for anything to latch onto. I actually did notice a lot of like the set work and everything. I thought it was pretty impressive. Cowboy Bebop, at least this iteration, seems to have its own brand of retrofuturism. As you know, usually when you say retrofuturism, you're talking about like Fallout, where it's the future as imagined in the 40s through 60s. But in Cowboy Bebop, it seems like the future is a product of the 80s and 90s, like the scientific advents of the last 40-ish years never happened, but space travel did. And that's pretty cool. And for the most part, the set design and the world building all kind of added up to that picture. There weren't a whole lot of contradictions in that way, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
As for the costumes, I kind of disagree with what you said about not looking like anybody was dressed up as characters. But I don't think that was inherently a bad thing. A lot of the characters to me, even if I wasn't familiar with who they were dressed up as, still looked and felt like they were in costume. I recently went to my first Comic-Con, and there's this weird thing where you recognize when someone's doing a character even when you have no idea who they're being. And I got that sense from a lot of the characters on here. Not all of them. There were a few where I was like, oh, I bet this is a Netflix original character. But many of them, I even if I couldn't picture them in the anime, I thought they're wearing an anime costume. It's almost like Comic Con chic or something. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I thought it was interesting. Uh, it was fun. At least I enjoyed that aspect of the show.
See, I'm going to be curious if and when we ever cover the One Piece live action adaptation, how you'll feel about this then.
Okay, that's something I actually wanted to bring up here. Not One Piece specifically, but more broadly, live action adaptations. So, viewer, off-screen Snipe, and I have discussed how there's certain things that we need to take into account when we are choosing episode topics. Like, we need to space out most video games by at least 5 episodes because it takes a while to finish. We need to space out installments of certain franchises so we don't pigeonhole our podcast as being about those franchises. New rule. We need to find a good amount of episodes to space out live action adaptations of anime, at least Netflix ones, or especially Netflix ones, because if we don't, I will kill you and then myself on air. This is not a joke. This is a prior admittance of guilt, FBI. So let's just take that into account while we're choosing our episode selection here.
Hey, I'm just going to say, I was the one that originally said we should do only 3 episodes. You wanted to go whole ham and go all 10.
And you know what? You know what? I stand by that decision. Do you know what this episode would be if we'd only covered 3 episodes? It would have been you and me sitting here going, yeah, this was pretty bad, but who knows? Maybe it gets better later. Or, maybe they were going somewhere with this. Now we know, okay? Now we have the authority to give definitive statements on how well things were done and why. And that makes all the difference. Is this a form of self-harm? Absolutely. But it is required for the medium.
I mean, you're forgetting about the graphic novel and the prequel novel, so we don't know the whole story here.
Have we said yet what our next episode's about? I don't think we have.
Not yet. But, yeah, production design looked good. Self-harm not looking too good. But what are your thoughts on, let's say, the actors who did a good job, who needed better material? Because,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I liked John Cho as Spike Spiegel. Um, I thought that he had a lot of energy in the role. He has a lot of charisma as an actor. He's fun to watch. Did he capture Spike Spiegel his je ne sais quoi? I no. Like when I'm watching Cowboy Bebop, what I've seen of it, when Spike Spiegel's on screen doing stuff, it doesn't feel like he's part of an ensemble. It feels like he has that magnetic quality that kind of captures the narrative and the story. Like there is an episode in this show that is more about Spike than it is about the rest of the cast. And that episode does not feel like it belongs in a show called Cowboy Bebop. It feels like a divergence. I, yeah. If you did the same episode in the anime, and probably some version of this episode exists in the anime, for all I know, that would feel in place because Spike Spiegel feels like a main character of that anime, where he feels like part of an ensemble in this Netflix show. So that's a pretty big difference in terms of focus and energy. And I don't know if that was John Cho. I don't know if that was the writers. I don't know if that's deliberate or something that exists only in my head. But that's a big difference to me.
Yeah, for me personally, I always try to give actors the benefit of the doubt because their job is to act with what material they're given. And it's up to a director to direct them and point them how, like towards where they want that performance to go, right? So I'm going to say this is kind of up to the, like, the director. Um, Although, who knows what kind of constraints there also were on the set. Maybe there was some higher power that was telling them they need to act this certain way. and you can't direct them like that. I don't know the whole story behind the creation of this show, so yeah, it's kind of messy, ain't it?
Maybe. I'll tell you one person I'm not giving the benefit of a doubt, even though I absolutely should. But I just finished the show last night, and my notes here after I have their name written down are hate, 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 hate in all caps. And that would be Alex Hassel as Vicious.
Yeah. Oh boy,
I hate Vicious in this show so much.
it's bad because like, yeah, I can't say anything yet because that'll be spoilers.
I can say a little bit without spoilers.
Go
So,
for it.
not having seen the anime, my sense of Vicious is that he is like Sephiroth or something. That he is this looming threat that Spike will have to deal with one day. That is kind of slightly off stage, but ever looming, ever present, ever tantalizing with this past and future conflict we'll get to enjoy seeing play out. This show wants to do that. This show is emotionally incapable of doing that because he's in every episode. He, it's hard to describe what kind of dynamic we're getting here. I want to call him like Team Rocket, but like Team Rocket does interesting things, and Team Rocket has a direct conflict with the protagonist. This is hardly ever on screen with our other main characters. He's just always on screen subjecting us to him, doing things that I don't care about. And it's like it's as if they're trying to recapture a rivalry like Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk on Daredevil, or I don't know, the characters in Fargo, like whatever, different streaming shows. It's a common thing when to give your villain more screen time, you give them their own conflict that runs side by side with the hero's conflict, and that works well in some cases. But it doesn't here, because what Vicious is doing has nothing to do with the Bebop, and what Bebop's doing has nothing to do with Vicious. So, and he's also just miserable to watch. He's not scary, he's not cool, he's not funny, he's just there. I don't like him. And he feels miscast. I don't know who Vicious is, but I'm pretty sure he's not this.
No, he is not this. And again, character like Vicious, he doesn't show up much in the original anime because
That's what I thought.
the closest thing I would compare the anime to would be the X-Files in some of this execution. In that you have your monster of the week, aka your bounty of the week, and then your occasional storyline episode that expands more on who Spike Spiegel is and what's going on with Vicious. And the story structure really bothered me of this show because I would have liked more focus on the bounties of the week than just cutting back and forth to whatever was Vicious was doing that I did not care about.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they took the bounty of the week concept and they tried to take cases from the anime and balloon them out to fit the runtime of a Netflix show. But they couldn't quite get there, no matter how much they added and how many subplots they did. So they wound up writing almost in isolation this other, more serialized story about Vicious and just slotting it in spaces to get that last 20 minutes per episode or whatever it was.
Yeah. It's amazing how an anime that only has about 22 minutes to tell a story can tell something so concise, while this show has close to 40 to 50 minutes per episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I started zoning out about halfway through most episodes because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care about anyone on this show.
No.
Especially not Vicious.
Yeah, definitely not Vicious. I don't know. I won't say I never cared about anyone on this show. There were moments in the show that made me invested in particular characters for certain extents of time. But it was never able to really hold that emotional investment. Anytime something moving or engaging happened, it was quickly overridden by some other nonsense. Never the same nonsense either. You know, sometimes it would be a string of dumb jokes written without any intent or direction, or it would be a meandering action scene where the choreography didn't hold up or make any sense when you thought about it, or it would be some wildly out of place hyper-violence coming right after said dumb jokes or cartoony action sequences. It's just like everything feels like it's thrown together to be as attention-grabbing as possible without any cohesive sense of direction between it.
Yeah, that's again. I tried my hardest to divorce myself from the anime while watching this. I only watched the first 5 episodes of the anime to sort of get it into my headspace, but I didn't watch more than that. And
To clarify for the audience, you have seen the full show in the past.
yes, this
Okay.
was just a bit of a rewatch I did before the show, before the live action, just to sort of reorient myself a little bit. And I found myself hating it less when I could not remember the content as much because those are the episodes I did not rewatch. But like the first 4 episodes, I absolutely loathed with a passion because the first 5 episodes of the anime were still fresh in my mind.
Interesting. I had almost the opposite experience. I actually liked the early episodes better. I'll tell you in a little. Actually, maybe we'll do this now. My 3 favorites of Netflix's Cowboy Bebop are episode 1, 4, and 6.
Really?
Episode 1, yeah, episode 1. Like I said, I have seen the first 3 episodes of the anime, and episode 1 was pretty clearly an attempted remake of the first episode of the anime. So I saw the connections there pretty clearly, where I didn't for basically the rest of the show. And was the Netflix version better than the anime? Not at all. Not even a little bit. But I don't think it was awful in its own right either. Like, the casino scene at the beginning. I didn't hate it. I definitely saw the holes. The choreography didn't make any sense. All throughout the show, you have lots of scenes where Spike will just wander out into a crowd of gunmen and start punching people, or he'll toss a coin and it'll knock someone over somehow. And I don't know, maybe the anime does stuff like this too, but in an animated medium, it's more believable because you're already dealing with hyper reality. In a live action movie, you have to get real stylized. You have to go real far down the Kill Bill rabbit hole before I can start to buy in to that kind of ridiculous fighting. And you know, like, even John Wick is way more realistic than anything that happens here. I'm not hating on action movies broadly, just poorly choreographed ones. But even with that, the action was still fun to me. It was colorful. It felt like they were trying to have give characters motivation. Sometimes the same one from the anime, sometimes new ones. And yeah, I mean, I won't say that I bought into the story, but I was at least somewhat on the ride with these guys for the duration of episode 1, even if I acknowledged it as an inferior version of something that already existed.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting perspective. I won't judge you too harshly yet. I'm just joking, but I guess for me, I can't really say I guess my favorite episode would be, I believe, episode 6 as well, followed by, I want to say 8 and then 10.
Really? Wow. Okay, I
Yeah.
want to hear exactly why, but let's talk about 8 and 10 in the spoiler section. But I'll be real curious to find out why. Can you tell me what you liked about episode 6 without spoiling stuff?
I believe 6, that was the jet-focused episode, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope. I want to say that was 5.
Oh, that was 5? Okay, I'm an idiot. 6
It's
was...
okay. Yeah. 6 was the AI one.
Oh. That episode was
Uh,
actually not the worst either.
To clarify for the viewer, that's an episode featuring an AI in the plot, not an episode made by AI. This is an anti-AI podcast.
Yeah. Although you
Just
wouldn't
to
be
put
able
that
to
out.
tell the difference between whether or not it was made by AI.
But did you want to say anything about episode 5, the other one you like? I mean, while we're on the topic, what do you think of Jet?
The actor who played Jet, I'm looking up his name right now because I forgot it and I feel bad about that, was Mustafa Shakir, I believe. I thought he actually did a really good job on the show.
Mhm.
He's not totally like his character from the anime, but I forgave that because I kind of accepted after about the halfway point that it wasn't going to be anything like the anime, and I needed to stop holding that sort of grudge against it too much. But I don't know. I just show he had a great physical presence. His voice sounded really close to the anime characters to me. Um, and the episode had a whole detective noir vibe going on, and I like space noir a bit. Kind of sappy for that. It was an adaptation, a little bit of an episode from the anime itself, but that was one that I did not rewatch for this podcast, so that meant my hatred was lessened. And yeah,
Yeah,
I really like Mustafa as Jet Black.
yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say about him. I think he could have been given more to work with, but he did fine in the role. One that I have questions about is Faye Valentine. So I know there's been some controversy around her in the fandom. I know part of it is the costuming, which you talked about a little bit, which I think is silly. Like it's one thing to put a cartoon character in a certain outfit, but that doesn't always translate into real life either for practical reasons or for issues of modesty, and I think that's fine. I mean, I'm not one to cry over outfit change.
Yeah, it's fine.
But in terms of personality and role, like my I don't think I've ever seen Faye Valentine in action. I don't think I ever got to that point in the anime. But is she in the show she's basically like another bounty hunter, like she's an action hero in the same way Spike is. My interpretation of her in the anime from what I've heard is she's more of a femme fatale seductress type. Is that accurate?
Yeah. She's massively deep into debt in the anime. I think she even has like a gambling problem a little bit, if I remember right. Um, and yeah, she's the femme fatale type. She doesn't normally get her hands dirty, except the first thing we meet her, she does shoot up an entire place. But then she quickly gets captured and she's brought in to do some stuff for a mob. This is one of the early episodes, so it's not really that much of a spoiler. Um, but normally, no, she's not a huge fighter type. Um, and she's not
Yeah.
nearly as crass as she is on the show either, or I feel as excitable, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. She's like yeah. I felt on the show making her another bounty hunter to me felt kind of redundant. Like even ignoring what was done in the original anime, it's just like Spike is kind of the front man. He's the advanced guy. He's one who does the bulk of the fighting. Jet is kind of the homemaker. Like he runs the ship. He keeps everything stable. He's there to patch people up, get information. He's a good fighter, but he's mostly there to do everything else. And then you add Faye, and she's like a less capable Spike, basically, in terms of her role. And that
It,
was pretty disappointing.
yeah. Because in the show, she usually tries to get out on her own sometimes and get her own bounty, and then winds up into trouble, and then she has to get bailed out by Spike and Jet.
Ignoring I, and I feel like that's most of our main cast. Nope, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. What about Julia?
Uh,
She's in every episode,
fu- uh,
I think. At least 9 out of 10, I think.
yeah, she is. How do I even begin?
No spoilers.
I'm trying hard. I'm trying so hard. Julia is really not at all like she was in the anime.
No.
No, no, she is not. Um, especially since in the anime, Julia No, that would be a spoiler. Never mind. Dang it.
Yeah.
I'll just say she is not like her anime counterpart really at all, is what I will
Yeah.
say.
Not very interesting. But she does get a lot of screen time.
Yeah. Which kind of demystifies her a bit.
Yeah. I kind of hate this, and maybe other people really like this because they keep doing it. So I guess it has to be for someone. But I hate it in a movie or a TV show where they introduce a character who has like an irrelevant skill and make it like a big deal where you're apparently supposed to care about. Like in this case, Julia is great at singing, and we hear her sing the same song like at least 4 times. And like I don't care. Like, is he great at singing? Maybe. Most of the music I hear is like on the radio or on YouTube by people who are professional singers. So, to me it just sounds like music. So maybe if this was like the pre-radio era and I didn't have that going for me, I would be blown away by her performance. But as it is, I'm watching a movie about action and character dynamics, and how good this one woman singing voice is doesn't really make me care about her anymore.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When she started singing, I sometimes fast forwarded through those parts because I'm not here for a music video. I'm sorry.
You
Don't get me
filthy
wrong.
cheater.
I mean, she has a lovely singing voice. If I bother to listen to it, um, but it just felt like filler.
Snipe. That was the show. The show was filler.
I know. All I how did I describe it in my notes? Let me look here. Ah, if it wasn't for the weird filler shit that they mixed in that makes it seem more like baloney than an all beef frank. Yeah,
Mm, yes.
going with the food analogies here because it's an unholy soup of characters and scenarios that anime watchers might be able to recognize. Emphasis on might.
Very poetic.
I get into the food metaphors when I'm angry.
While we're talking about music and poetry, I'll tell you something I did think was pretty good. I liked the opening. The live action version of the opening, clearly based on the animated one. I thought it was neat. I thought it was pretty well done. And it actually made me kind of excited to watch another episode, seeing how they layered in all these like characters and antagonists that would be in future episodes. I'd see a face and be like, oh, I wonder when they'll pop up. And that was pretty cool. And the music was good because it's the same music from the anime in most cases.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Tank. Tank is it's the best opening theme to any show, I feel like.
Although I wonder if you noticed, like 3 or 4 episodes, for whatever reason, weren't playing the main version of Tank they usually use. Like there were a handful of covers thrown in.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, her.
I've seen other shows do that. I don't know what that's about. Like sometimes it's to signify that this episode's different from others in a certain way. I remember there was an episode of the Teen Titans show, like back in the 2000s, where they had one episode that used a Japanese cover of the theme song when like the Robin version of Batmite took over the show. But in the case of this show, I didn't notice any thematic differences in the episodes using it, so I don't know why that happened.
I guess someone was just feeling the cute that day with the audio editor, and they're like, all right, let's change the pitch of this a little bit for this episode. Now we're cooking with gas.
I don't know, maybe.
Also, what did you feel about the increased amounts of sex and nudity and horrible violence?
Yeah, well, actually, I kind of want to tackle these topics separately.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have to get into the issue of sex as much as we did in like Edge Runners because it's not as big of a part of the show.
Right.
But on that note, I thought it was interesting how they. I'm going to assume this was a choice by the Netflix adaptation, just because of when the anime came out, but I could be wrong. I thought it was interesting the degree to which they incorporated queerness into Cowboy Bebop here. just to clarify my stance, I guess I think that's great, neat. Uh, like Grell, I'm assuming Grell is an original character. He's not. They aren't Grell, are they? Was it Grin?
It was Gren. Yeah,
Okay.
they were an original character, I believe.
Okay, sorry. Grell is the trans woman from Black Butler, so that's where I pulled that name from, I believe. But yeah, Grin was a fun character. I mean, not that they did much, but they had an entertaining screen presence, so can't hate that. And Faye in episode 6, one of my favorite episodes, meets that mechanic, and I thought someone did a really good job with like the chemistry between those characters. Maybe that was what the actors were bringing to the table. But I was able to tell when they were in a room together before they spoke that they were going to be a thing. Whatever, it was well performed, whatever was going on there. And there's kind of a stereotype of Netflix taking things and like making them gay, and I think that's pretty overplayed by certain vitriolic fandoms, obviously. But hey, when they do it right, they do it right. So neat.
Yeah. I was gonna say it was nice to see some included diversity and LGBTQ plus inclusion. I'm trying to think of the original show. It did have times when they tackled that subject. Usually they tried their best. I mean, this was 1998, so they tried their best at the time to address it. It just sometimes it didn't quite hit the mark, I felt like.
Oh, sure, I bet.
Especially with like the movie, the Cowboy Bebop movie, there was a scene in there that I feel like aged like milk.
Yeah,
But
it happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, at some point down the line, I will sit down and watch the Cowboy Bebop show and movie to figure out how I feel about that one. And when I do, I will report back on the podcast what I thought. Not for like a full episode, just as a brief aside. I was going to do that next, but I've decided I'm not going to do that next because I need some space. I feel like if I sat down and watched the anime right now, it would be out of spite, and that would kind of taint my experience. So I'm gonna give myself a breather, and we'll come back around to that in like a month or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, as for sex and nudity broadly, I don't know. It didn't feel that excessive in that department to me. I mean, there was definitely more than none, which probably means there was more than there was in the anime. But it didn't come off as like anything crazy, even compared to like Edge Runners, which in itself wasn't exactly pornographic. What did you think? Did you have something else to say on that?
I just think there was one scene involving a lot of nudity and violence that just just really kind of irks me a little bit, just because
It was
of
like
how
episode two or three.
Yeah, about episode 2, I believe, with the lab.
Yeah, let's come back to that in spoilers because yeah, we probably have some stuff to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was definitely like for me that was just like a mood whiplash. Like if that had been on Jessica Jones or something, I'd be fine with it. But in this show, it really did feel out of place.
Well, that's just the thing. A lot of it feels mismatched because it's like you have this over the top cartoony stuff going on occasionally, like with the fight scenes, and you got these wicked like camera angles sometimes, and then the music from the original show playing, and then sometimes it just gets like really really edgy and dark to the point where it's like it doesn't contrast well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the scenes in this show do not feel like they take place in the same universe. And sometimes that's okay. Like if I'm reading a DC comic book, I don't necessarily need Superman to play by the same rules as like John Constantine or Batman in terms of how their worlds operate. But this is one ongoing story. So if you have a fight scene where Spike takes down like 12 gunmen with his bare fists and they're defeated bloodlessly and he doesn't have a scratch on him, and then later you have people being like, I don't know, disemboweled or whatever, like it's jarring. It doesn't fit well. It like who is this show for? Like is this something I can sit down and watch with my nephew, or is this something I need to draw the blinds and watch privately? Like I don't know.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say the original anime. Again, I keep comparing it, but the anime was again, it was adult, but at the same time, it's like it's right at that age range where it's like you're more of a teenager when you watch it, so it's a kind of okay.
Mhm.
But this is like at first I felt like, oh, it's going to advertise itself as like a more for general audiences thing because I watched some of the trailers and stuff, right?
Mhm.
And then episode 2 happens and it's just like what the heck is going on?
Yeah. You know what this show reminds me of? Did you
What?
ever see any of Legends of Tomorrow on the CW?
I've heard of it. I have not seen any of it.
Yeah, it was one of the spin-off shows set in the Arrowverse with like Arrow and Flash and Supergirl, where a bunch of like secondary characters from those shows got a time ship and went on like Star Trek missions, but through time instead of space. And it was really wacky over time. It became less of a superhero show and more like a more comedic bent on Doctor Who. And it was kind of the same way insofar as that it was always trying to push limits as far as they could on network TV, which was a lot, less extreme than what we have here, by having these like dark plots and violent moments juxtaposed with very inclusive and family friendly like love stories and sitcom antics and fight scenes where people get knocked through concrete walls and are fine afterwards. And it felt, yeah, it's very comparable to this. The difference was, I think, one, Legends of Tomorrow had a lot of recognizable IP characters like Hawk Woman and Black Canary and Kid Flash, Firestorm, and so on that drew in fanboys. And it also developed its own sense of like absurdist humor that had internal consistency even with the sometimes extreme conflicts that arose. And Cowboy Bebop just didn't seem to have either the time or the talent put into it to cultivate that.
Yeah. Also, was Legends of Tomorrow the one where Gorilla Grodd shows up to kill Barack Obama in the past?
Yeah, it was.
Barack Obama, it would almost be an honor to kill you. I remember watching that
Yeah.
clip and I was like, this might be the best show ever made, so I should probably get around to it at some point.
It had its moments. I don't know if it'd be worth it to you as a person living now to watch it like episode to episode, but it was decent to follow at the time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the fights in this show though are kind of their own problem, right? Like I touched on it earlier, but yeah, the choreography is just not it. Like you have one of two fights. Either it's one of three fights. A, Spike faces an army of gunmen who have every opportunity to kill him immediately. They don't. Or B, um, like Spike fights one guy and gets his butt kicked until he doesn't. Or C, blood, just blood, just everyone dies, swords in the stomach, bullets through the brain, just blood everywhere. And there is no overlap between these three fights.
Yeah, it and the amount of excess. Again, I'm not a prude or anything when it comes to violence. I'm planning on watching Hellraiser this weekend, I swear. Um,
Better.
gotta get ready for revival. But
Big fan. I'm gonna double check that because otherwise we'll need to print another retraction, but you can keep talking.
but no, that was just
Oh,
my
nope. I'm wrong.
oh
Yep, you're right. It's episode 3. Episode 2 is the one with the bomber. I
yeah.
uh I struggle to remember that one because it ended. Oh wait, non-spoilers, never mind, but I struggle to remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's pretty evident neither of us loved this show. Um it still is Snipe's favorite show ever, but only by virtue of not having any better options.
Don't you will that
Um
evil on me.
uh yeah, but like I said, I am glad that we watched all of it because we get to definitively comment on all of it. And before we get into spoilers, I have a tradition I want to uphold here of having a segment called Tangent's 3-minute hate. But in this episode specifically, it feels redundant. There's so much hate in this episode, so much hate overflowing for the show, for production decisions, for certain creators, for Alex Hassel. I wonder if he's going to hear this. Probably not. Um, but let's generate some love too. Because like at the end of the day, creating something is uh, a show of love, and someone loved this show or loved something about it enough to get it made. It was made because so many people saw the original anime and really loved it, and someone thought they could monetize that. And in this world we live in, that is kind of the ultimate sign of respect. If someone made a Funko Pop of me, I would be mortified. I would be disgusted. But I would also be flattered because that's the greatest symbol in our culture that we have for admiration. So, thank you, Netflix, for loving Cowboy Bebop.
Thank
Do
you.
we want to talk spoilers?
Yes, please.
You go first. I'm always
Okay.
right, but go on.
So, episode 5, Dark Side Tango, I believe it's called. I mean, that's a positive. Is I like the episode titles; they're very nice, reminiscent of the original show. I'm reaching for straws here, man. Um, again,
Oh,
that
sorry,
was
guys. I like shrugged. I need to stop non-verbally communicating. This is a podcast. Okay, go on.
yeah. I'm a fan of noir detective style stories. Even though I knew exactly where this story was headed, it was pretty predictable. Jet Black and his partner are looking for a escaped convict who may have the answer to a why Jet was put into jail. See, he was shot by a mysterious stranger 5 years ago, and he wants to find out who it was that pinned him as the dirty cop. And as it turns out, it was actually his partner the whole time that was the dirty cop. But the whole time that episode, I enjoyed their friendship until, it fell apart between Jet and his partner. Um, it gave us more characterization of Jet. He got to wear a nice suit as well. I just like seeing Jet in suits. I know the dude is suave. I'll tell you that. And then as for episode 8, or I believe that was the one with Pierre LaFaux.
Oh, God, yeah, it was.
Um, I like that one strictly for the fact that they had the audacity to try and adapt that episode. Because that one's like a standout in the original anime series. That's like the big one that you break out in case of emergency.
I hate that episode. I haven't seen the anime original, but I hate the Netflix version. Like, I mean, Vicious has his whole thing, his whole own plot line going through this whole show, and just randomly at the start of an episode, he happens to unleash a legendary hitman to hunt down Spike. Like, if he's gonna do that, why isn't he always doing that? Or why hasn't he done it before? Like, it's just so out of nowhere, and it's just for the reason you said. It's like it's a legendary episode. They had to do it. It had to be in the opening. It had to be in the trailer, so people would watch the Pierre LaFaux stuff. And it's not good. Like I'm sure in the anime, Pierre LaFaux is a really cool and interesting antagonist. He's not in this show. And oh my god, I can't believe you brought it up now. We have to talk about Ein.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, yeah, they get this dog. I feel like in the anime, because I did see the episode he's introduced. That's like episode 2 or something of the anime he shows up. And there it's kind of shown that he's some type of test subject dog. Like they did something to him medically, and that's why he's valuable. I don't know what they did to him. I haven't seen the anime yet, but in the show, that was never communicated to us until this episode, where suddenly they introduced that to tie him to Pierre LaFaux, and it just feels out of nowhere and a major plot contrivance, which I could forgive if that was the episode, if that was what the episode was about. Like, if Pierre LaFaux was after Ein, great. That already sounds like a better episode. But he's here going after a different person, and he happens to have this connection to the previously unremarkable Corgi. That's not good. I don't like that. And what I don't like even more than that is that they leave Ein. They ditch him, and they just leave him there. And that's horrendous. Like, I have a soft spot for animals. I have 2 dogs of my own, so maybe this just hits closer to home for me. But that was so sad. That moment, like, overshadowed everything else that happened on screen after it. Because the whole time I'm wondering, will Ein show back up? Did they go back and get Ein? Because when they left him, I was hoping they were just leaving him there while they went and handled Pierre LaFaux, and they'd go find him afterwards. But there's no indication that happened. So, I mean, yeah, at that point, like, I'm sorry, I know I'm really biased here, but after that, I'm not rooting for any of these characters. I'm just kind of in a bad mood.
No, and I should say my favorite episodes are still not episodes that I like.
Yeah.
I need to make that so clear. Yeah, them ditching Ein really ticked me off too, because they made such a big deal of keeping him, and then they just abandon Ein.
Like a metaphor
Yeah,
for everything in the show.
yeah. I guess the thing I liked about Pierre LaFaux was just the character of Pierre LaFaux himself, just because of how over the top he was. It just gave me something when most episodes gave me nothing.
I like the design of Earthland in that episode. That's the one thing I'll give it. Other than that, I feel like episode 8 did give me nothing.
Yeah. And then episode 10 was the last episode. You can probably guess why I like that one.
Episode 6, I guess I didn't describe why I liked it before. I thought they did some really interesting stuff with the video editing in that episode. Like when Spike is in the simulation. I don't have the vocab to explain or describe what they were doing, but the background, like, they mess with the color and the resolution. Like, you really get communicated that this is a fake environment without them resorting to any, like, Matrix tropes or anything. And I thought that was really visually creative. I also kind of liked Faye's side story in that one, like I previously said. And that's everything. I mean, there's the set design, but we already kind of talked about that. A big problem that is throughout the show that episode 6 kind of exacerbates is I don't know where anything is or in relation to each other. Like, I mean, when we're talking about these shows set in space, like Star Trek or whatever, part of the central premise of that environment is how far apart everything is. Like, even a show like Star Trek, where you have warp speed, there's still a consideration of how long it will take you to get someplace else. And in Cowboy Bebop, that's never really communicated. Most of the time, I couldn't even tell what planets we were on, or if we were in a different planet or another city. Like the Syndicate, is that a crime organization that spans all of human cultivated space, or just the one planet they happen to live on? In the Netflix show, we get no indication of their reach or what kind of empire they really have. And this is kind of exacerbated in episode 6 because Jet finds out to save Spike, he has to go to Earth. That's a big deal. Presumably, none of these episodes have been set on Earth before. The only times we hear about Earth, it sounds like some big disaster happened to it or around it. That's never really described, and it doesn't really need to be for our story. But, as soon as I hear we're going to Earth, I think we're going to learn more. But no, we just get there. And how long did that take?
Oh,
the rest of the episode.
Yeah. I was going to say it took about 2 minutes to get to Earth. It was... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in episode 1, we see them using, like, I guess it's a warp gate or something. So there's some indication that thought has been given to how travel works in the setting, probably in the original anime rather than here, but someone contributed thought to it. But very little of that thought is conveyed to us, and we don't learn the rules of transportation, which is really dumb in a TV show named after a spaceship.
Yeah. It's just the amount of space and time that's conveyed to us just is all over the place. I don't know how long Faye has been with them. I don't know. Apparently, the show takes place in 2071, although according to a book description on Amazon, it's 2171. So I think that's either a typo or some other messed up thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that was a typo.
Yeah. Oh man, we sort of talked about this in non-spoilers, but there's something I have to bring up here.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Mhm.
This reminded me a lot of the cyberpunk bit when we were doing Edge Runners. In the anime, to your recollection, are Jet and Spike ever referred to as cowboys?
I think Spike refers to himself as a cowboy. I think once in the first episode. Then I can't remember if anyone ever refers to them again as cowboys or just bounty hunters. I'm pretty sure they don't say cowboy too often.
Yeah, because this is kind of like the same thing in the Edge Runners show, where people just call themselves cyberpunks, and I interpreted that to be just the people making it trying to make the title more relevant. Like, not having seen the anime, I can't really comment. Maybe cowboy is treated as another term for bounty hunter or mercenary. But in the Netflix show, it really felt forced to me. Like, the show's called Cowboy Bebop, so it has to be about some type of cowboy. It's I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It felt really forced and silly.
Well, they were simply reinforcing their trademark.
Yeah, there's a trope on TV tropes. It's called Cowboy Bebop at his computer, and it's named for there was a magazine article about Cowboy Bebop when it was getting big here in the States that showed a picture of, I believe the character's name is Ed, or is it Fred?
It's Ed.
Hacker. Ed. It showed a picture of Ed sitting at their computer, and the caption was Cowboy Bebop at his computer. So, yeah, the trope is basically when larger media gets a hold of a smaller, obscure property and, like, attributes incorrect names to characters, kind of like people who love Zelda, the guy who wears green and swings a sword and says, yeah.
Metroid, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, Metroid the Bounty Hunter. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else to say about the cowboy thing, but it felt relevant for our cyberpunk conversation earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and let's talk about the ending for a bit. Like, man, this goes back to the thing about if someone loved this show. Did someone really think this was getting a season 2? Like, 'cause this ending, I can't tell who it's written by. I can't tell if it's written by someone who's like, man, this is rough, but we have to write it this way to set up season 2, or if it's written by, there's no way we're getting a season 2, I don't care anymore. It's one of those two.
Yeah, this episode, episode 10, it was my favorite. Again, favorite is loose. Very loose. Because, yeah, it's over. We don't have to worry about it anymore. But also because it felt like one of the few episodes actually had some sort of emotional payoff to everything. Like,
I feel like you're waiting for my response. I don't have one. Keep going.
okay. At least the fact that Jet does not forgive Spike for putting his daughter and everyone in the Bebop in danger. Everyone goes their separate ways because Spike fucked everything up, honestly. Because if he was just honest, then nothing would have happened. At least, the plot probably still would have happened, but Jet would have been more forgiving. He would have been able to help out Spike more. Again, I am reaching for compliments because I'm trying to justify somewhere in my head that I did not waste 10 hours of my life watching this. And then what did you think about the church scene?
I felt dead inside. I was planning out what I would do when the show was over and I could play some more Resident Evil 4. I I was not I was not engaged. Like I saw everything. I could write an essay on it, but I have so little opinion. I disagree about it feeling like there was some emotional payoff to anything. I didn't care about any of these people. I didn't even have hate left in my heart for anyone except for Alex Hassel. I just wanted it to be done.
Yeah, I think at that point I was like sunken cost fallacy. I got to get something out of this because I'm running on empty right now.
Yeah. Like I don't have an emotional response. If you want my ethical analysis, screw everybody. Like, yeah, okay, Spike lied to everyone, but also no one asked him these questions, and everyone else has like shady stuff going on in their orbits too. Like, yeah, he's the worst of them probably. We know for a fact he's murdered innocent people. Um, but also like he didn't knowingly put his friends in danger. He This weird scenario just kind of happened at the last minute for reasons he was not involved in at all. It was Julia and Visis's chicanery that brought all of this about, not really him. Jet, I think it's telegraphed that he would have hated Spike no matter what by virtue of his past. Maybe rightly so. But I'm not convinced Spike necessarily could have come to him or that he would have helped him out if he did. And maybe he shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe Jet is the injured party in all of this, actually. I don't care, but that's certainly an interpretation. And Faye is busy worrying about her own bullshit while all this is happening. Spike's just been kidnapped by an unknown party, and she's finding out her lost childhood address. Jet has just lost his best friend and his daughter and is very injured. And she leaves him alone to chase down a lead that I feel like she could do at any time. Uh, and they left the dog like an episode ago. And I mean, obviously, screw Vicious, just for every possible reason. And Julia, we didn't talk about it earlier, but she's evil now. I feel like she was just taken over by a remnant of Xehanort or something. Not that she ever had a characterization, but whatever she had before wasn't this. I guess evil's contagious, and Vicious has a lot of it. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't care about these people. Like, let them all shoot each other. Whatever.
I mean, I need to probably reiterate the fact that Chet Black was my favorite character, so I have a soft spot for the actor. So I'm incredibly biased towards him.
Oh, and let's talk about the last member of the crew, not mine, but our hacker friend.
Uh,
I'll let you take the reins on that one since you
uh,
have some idea who this person is.
okay, so the young person that played Ed, I'll just start by saying they were given a job and they did the job exactly the way they were supposed to by the director.
Oh, I don't blame them. They're not Alex Hassel, but go on.
Yeah. I just want to start by saying this is not any sort of hatred towards the child actor that played Ed. And anyone that harassed that child actor should be fucking ashamed of themselves. I'm just saying.
Did that happen?
There was a lot of vitriol over Ed. It
Well,
was.
I'm sure there was, but was there like a targeted campaign at that person? Like, that'd be sad. I mean, I guess I can believe it if that happens. Stuff like that happens a lot these days, but
I honestly,
oh,
I always just assume there was something because that's the internet for you.
could be.
But yeah, Ed just showed up in the last 2 minutes. We got like a hint of them in
Episode 6.
yes, episode 6. Radical Ed was mentioned by giving Jet a tip on a bounty that turned out to be an AI that almost killed Spike.
Yeah.
But Ed shows up at the last minute. Spike is wounded. He's drunk. He's laying face down in an alleyway. And Ed shows up and goes, Spike! Spike Spiegel! We're gonna go hunt the butterfly man or whatever. And Ed's with her. That's good. I mean, not Ed, Ein.
Ein. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ein. I forgot Ein was in that scene.
Yeah. Ein showed up for a second.
Yeah, that last like 2 minutes of episode 10 was just sensory overload for me. What was happening?
And I think it goes to the fact that there are some parts of anime that you just cannot adapt 100%. Because Ed is a very hyperactive, goofy character in the anime, and that comes off as endearing.
Mhm.
But when you translate that to real life, how does that make you feel?
I mean, there has to be a right way to do it, you know? Like, I feel like I've seen that personality work in certain live action before, especially like even just the hacker archetype acting that way. But yeah, this wasn't it. Like, so much of this show is like a crappier version of Daredevil 2015, and then you introduce this character who feels like they'd be the lead on like a live action Nicktoons production.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like a Nickelodeon character.
And he is sorry, I don't know the gender of this character.
I believe Ed, the character, is a girl, but I think the actor that played them is non-binary, I believe. I could be wrong.
All right, I'm defaulting to the character because I don't really talk about actors that much, and when I do, I'll signpost it. But speaking, I just to clarify for people, when I talk about a character in live action or animation, I'm generally talking about the character unless I specifically single out the actor. Anyway, she looked very Comic-Con-y, even more than the other characters. And I guess what I mean by that is like lower quality cosplay than most of the other characters. Like whatever was going on with the goggles and the hair, like he looked pretty absurd. And you know, obviously, like you said, not on the actor. I'm talking about the show here, like everything that went into the show. But it was a real sour note to leave this off on.
Yeah, it is the final kick in the teeth for this show. We are left with everyone just separated. Everyone's at their lowest point. Then we get this brand new character that shows up out of nowhere, and it just ends. Doing the 100 years Rick and Morty adventures sort of thing.
I was totally going to make that comparison. That's exactly how it felt. Like 100 years, Rick and Morty, 100 years. Like how any of the seasons end with like Rick or Mr. Poopy Butthole. And if I'm comparing your not absurdist comedy to anything involving Mr. Poopy Butthole, someone has done something horribly wrong. Like,
Yeah.
ah, man, and like sometimes I can watch the show and see where money was misspent. Like as soon as he took the mask off in episode 8, why is John Noble playing Caliban? Why is John Noble in this show? That's crazy. That I mean, I guess I don't know. He's not like Robert Downey Jr. Like it's not like that kind of money, but he's like a real actor. I guess that is an insult to everyone else in the show, but you know, you were. It's not as great an insult as being cast in the show to begin with. He does not feel like he belongs here. It's really weird to see him.
Yeah, and I just feel so bad for everyone involved except for the people that created it. Because the people that created it, they know what they did. And they're going on to Dungeon Crawler Carl, whatever his name is.
Yeah, you got it right, man. I know that they aren't related in this way, but it almost makes me less excited to read the rest of the books. That's totally illogical, but it kind of does dampen my enthusiasm.
Could be worse, at least it ain't the Stormlight Archive.
It took me a second to parse that comment. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm hoping that's in better hands. That would be, I don't know, I'd be on, I'd have some problems if that was the case.
I would have to do a wellness check on you about every single day, I think.
Pretty much. Oh yeah, man. In the last episode, they really no, the second to last episode, they tried for some ambitious stuff there, like Spike's raid on the opposing gang. Like they really went for the whole Daredevil hallway fight technique
Yeah.
there. They didn't. They did not succeed.
No. They tried. I mean, I'll say this about the show, a lot of the time they did try. Doesn't necessarily mean they tried hard or that they tried well, but they tried.
It's really funny to me that they tried to disguise it as a oneer, like most of the hallway fights from the Marvel Netflix era, by having the camera shot be super repeatedly interrupted by like pieces of wall and stuff. That they had the shot interrupted so often that you might as well have just done the normal type of cinematography you have for these fight scenes, where the camera jumps around all the time. Because we barely get to see any of it. But the illusion they're clearly trying to cast is that it is a oneer, like those great fights from so many Marvel shows, and it comes off as an even poorer imitation to the than even the Disney Plus version of it they did for Daredevil: Brand New Day or Daredevil: Born Again. There's a lot of Marvel stuff coming out right now.
The Daredevil and the Wasp, Quantumania.
You know, I would actually watch that.
Sure you will soon.
Man. I feel like there's so much more to be said for how much the show gets wrong, but I feel like we're already starting to repeat ourselves and kind of retread the same territory. What other points do we want to hit on this?
Let me see in my notes here. I guess the only thing I can say still is that I like the music. Especially since a lot of it was also just reused from the original anime. So it's like, just, I guess with the church scene, they reused Rain, the song that plays in the original show during the church scene.
Mhm.
And it's kind of interesting they chose the church as like the big like end location when the church shows up in episode 5 of the anime.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's not episode 26 or anything like that. It's episode 5. There's still another 21 episodes in a movie.
I guess that kind of denotes they were hoping to get a lot of more seasons out of this.
And that's what perplexed me is like how once they squeeze all the plot points and characters from the original anime, all you're left is with the original stuff. And what was original to the show just didn't work.
Yeah, apparently the showrunner was interviewed on a podcast called The Bebop Beat. I don't know if that podcast is about Bebop overall. I'm kind of guessing it was if they interviewed the showrunner instead of having him on regularly, or if it was just about the Netflix version. But he gave them some idea of what was going to happen in season 2. And a few plot points that he told them was they would have the reveal of who the cosmonaut was, which was a running joke on episode 4, was that they keep comparing Faye to the cosmonaut without explaining who that is. Ed would learn the true meaning of family, which I feel like we already had that happen for different characters like 2 or 3 times in season 1, but I guess that's an evergreen trope. Jet's mechanical arm would, quote, trip out. While tripping out, his arm is unusable and plays the saxophone with one hand. Spike's Demons of the Blue Crow Massacre being put to bed. For some reason, I feel like this would somehow retcon him killing that innocent girl who witnessed the killing. Like, it was pretty noticeable that happened just off screen, so he could have been shooting at anything, so maybe he didn't kill her? He did tell the hologram Julia that it didn't happen that way, so I assume they don't want their protagonist to be someone who kills children. Although, I'm down to tell a good enough story about it. Faye finding out who she is, I'm sure that would have been just riveting. Julia discovering, quote, heavy is the head that wears the crown, because we needed the Syndicate subplot to be dragged out more. Viscus being reborn, actually kill me, and last but not least, Ein saving the day. So, there.
Yeah, but I feel like it's going to take like how many episodes for everyone to get back together because I mean like Jet's at like an emotional low point, Spike's at a low point, Faye's gone. Like how are you supposed to get the band back together through all that?
2 or 3, leaning heavily on Ed. I mean, I've seen too many shows kind of like this where one season ends with, everybody being dissolved and they're back together by the midpoint of the next episode after that. I actually think, given the pacing of this show, they might wait 2 or 3 episodes to pull that off for the same reason they didn't make Faye a series regular to episode 4. I don't know if that's giving the show credit or just recognizing patterns. But yeah, honestly, I don't think it would have been that hard. I don't think it would have been done well, but that's just because the show didn't do much of anything well.
It is interesting to think there could have been a reality where there was a season 2 and then we would have had to suffer more. I personally am very thankful that it was not done. Sometimes I am very saddened whenever a show does not get additional seasons, like the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I love that show. Because there's a lot of passion and thought and artistry put into that. And with this Netflix Bebop show, there was a lot of passion and artistry put into it, but the writing and cinematography just wasn't there.
Yeah, I share your relief that there wasn't a season 2. Not really for the sake of us or our podcast, but more for the sake of humanity and art as a form of expression. But, I am grateful for it in a weird way, too. I feel like I learned a lot watching this show. Not that I haven't watched bad media before, but usually it's because there's something about it I like or something I'm trying to get out of it. And that was the case here, too. I was trying to get content out of it, which we succeeded at, it seems. And, I feel like we learned from this. We're learning what our limits are, and we're going to have to carry this memory forward when we're covering other material. When we finished talking about Godzilla last time, I worried that we hadn't covered enough, if maybe we needed to watch some more. And then we lived through this. And I think this was the only way to do it. I don't think there was a way to cover the show without watching all of it. But I don't know. We're just going to have to keep these memories in mind when we decide what to cover and how to cover it in the future.
I guess you could say we're going to have to carry that weight.
All right. Well, I think we just put a bow on that. Are we ready to leave this one behind, Space Cowboy?
I am never going to talk to you again about this until season 2 or whatever.
There is no season 2. What?
Season 2 for us.
Oh, Red, White, and Otaku season 2. Right. And we do a looking back segment, talking about everything we've seen before we set down Red, White, and Otaku and start the Scoobcast.
Exactly. Well, no, what I was actually thinking was, I'm just never going to talk to you again until an undisclosed amount of time.
Until next episode, then.
Yes.
All right. Well, viewer, this is the last time we'll talk to each other until next time, and this is the last time you'll hear us talk until next time. So that's going to be a wrap for, numerically, episode 2 of Red, White, and Otaku. If you would like to reach us, you can email us. The email is redwhiteandotaku@gmail.com. If you'd like to know exactly how to spell that, we will include the address down in the episode description. So just scroll down. You can copy and paste it into your address bar if you'd like to reach us. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or something, you can just reach us through the comments. I can't promise we will reply to every YouTube comment. Lots of bots out there and stuff. But if you reach us by email, we're going to try and reply to everyone in this mailbag segment in our episodes going forward. We're recording this at a time where we have not yet posted any of our episodes publicly, so no one knows the show exists yet, so thus no mailbag. But hopefully 2 or 3 episodes from now, that'll change. So feel free to reach out. We'd love to respond to you, even if you're going to recommend more shows like this. And what are we watching next time, Snipe?
Well, it appears that we are emerging from the shadows in, I believe, feudal Japan to fight crime.
That's right. We're going to be watching the animated movie Batman Ninja. We're taking a bite of something a little bit smaller this time as we reset our brains, our expectation, and our will to survive. Yeah, honestly, I know almost nothing about this movie. I have not seen it before. I have not looked into it, not even enough to like make a joke or riff off of it. But I'm excited to check out The Dark Knight and a very different environment from where we usually see him. So tune in next time and find out what we thought about that. I am so tired.
I'm tired too. Alrighty. I'm Sheltered Snipe.
I'm Tangent Man.
Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.